Okay. Good morning, class. So, uh, some students are facing difficulty in understanding, right? So, I was recently talking to Pawan sir, and he has told me that some students are facing difficulty in the concepts, in understanding of the concepts. Is that so? Like, some parts are not clear. Is that the case? So, see the pillars. Let's try to address this problem. That whatever pillars of learning are there, when we try to come to understanding the UPSC preparation, I want to locate the problem. Okay, so you help me out how to locate the problem. One can be in understanding the concepts itself. Okay, concept is not very clear to you. Okay, next can be, what do you think? Next can be whether the structure is not very clear to you. That means you are not able to find a logical connection between one point to the other point, topic and subtopics. Okay. Third can be you do not, you are not able to grasp the relevance of the topic. Okay. Fourth, I am not able to understand the strategy of how should I approach environment or how should I approach the
Rizmi sir, you're not audible.
Online students, is it audible now? ठीक है, ठीक है. So coming back to this is what pillars of what? Pillars of what? Pillars of preparation. ठीक है. This is your pillars of preparation, and it is understandable that environment can become a difficult thing, difficult subject. ठीक है. But we have strategies to break it down. ठीक है. It is not like that environment cannot be tackled. ठीक है. 17 to 18 questions in prelims, and therefore this subject cannot be ignored, and therefore it is very important. Had it been, governance or small topics like that, it would not have been a much of an issue. ठीक है. But for environment, these are your pillars of preparation. Where is the problem out of these 5 things? Conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding is not very okay. First thing is this. Is there a problem with structure? Can you see how it grows when we start one topic, how it goes from one subtopic to the other subtopic? Can you relate between those subtopics? First, I should come to this revision. Have you revised? You have revised. So do you see an emerging structure out of your notes? Is there correlation between the subtopics? If you have revised, you will know that the structure is there. Okay. So structure is direct thing. If you do not revise, you will not see the structure. You will not be able to correlate things. If I start a topic from one point to the other point, how do I proceed? It is only on the basis of structure itself, right? So structuring, how big of a problem is it is? Like out of 10? Out of 10, just like you have a star rating, what kind of difficulty do you face in the structure part? 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, what?
So structure is good, but the notes are not like very like when you look
Yes. Exactly. One more thing here I had to add was relevance plus notes. Yes. Tell me.
So, yeah, structure is actually okay. Right? Like it's good. Like you can understand like subtopics and
The flow is clear, right?
But then, like, if you really have to revise that concept from the notes, it's hard because it's only like keywords. And if you're not like very familiar with the subject, just with the keywords, you cannot completely recall the full concept.
Okay. So initially, in the initial classes, I used to dictate you some notes. Did I dictate you some notes? No. So always the classes have been like this, that I have been explaining you the concept. So the thing is that in previous batches, I used to dictate some notes, but then it will take away time from this. है ना? So that is why the dictation part was there. So notes right now. So notes is also one thing. ठीक है? Structure is इसको we can take out. ठीक है? Conceptual understanding we will come to this. Relevance plus notes. ठीक है? So once you revise, once you try to revise, you are not finding the notes because the notes contains the definitions and they are only keywords and you are not able to correlate between them. Suppose you go back home and you revise after the class. ठीक है? But 1 week later or 2 weeks later, it becomes a problem for you to grasp it. Is that the problem? ठीक है. So this calls out for कि मैं dictate कर दूं. ठीक है? Dictation. One can be dictation. Second can be the notes are already there on the website. ठीक है? It is there on the legacy website. Okay? It will be made available to you. ठीक है? You can ask, Akhilesh, the person he sits here only. So you can ask Akhilesh, he will guide you on the website itself. Okay. Those notes are very, very well made. Okay. We have made it with a lot of research and we have also made it with a lot of relevance with respect to the previous year questions. So those notes, wherever you find that the definition, because now it will be very difficult for me to dictate the previous topics, right? So for this website, legacy website, you try and see the notes. Okay. There are mostly concepts that I have made you understand in the class. Mostly the concepts are there. Okay. But there might be some 1 or 2 concepts that are away from what we have tried to understand in the class. Okay. Environment is a subject like that. Okay. You will have more number of laws. Okay. But you can refer to those notes for the topics that we have not been dictated yet. Okay. Okay. So from now on, one thing is this. Okay. And the review that I got was when we started with climate change. Okay. Climate change, I made you understand global warming potential. I watched that video. I was like, there is what is lacking in that? What is there that you are not able to understand? है ना? क्योंकि global warming potential and then we talked about short-lived climate pollutants and long-lived climate pollutants also. So what was there? Like, what did you not understand in that? Was it clear? Or is it overloaded with science? Chemical reactions, थोड़ा वो difficult होता है. Ozone depletion, ozone hole, polar stratospheric clouds. Are those the difficult ones?
So it's not climate change, like the pace at which we arrived to climate change and the concepts before it were like lagging behind. So those were lagging, and then we reached like.
So it got built up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was on leave for I think 2 weeks. Did you go through the notes at that point of time? So notes, chalo yahi problem hai. This is one of the problems, है ना? One is relevance plus notes. Let us mark it out. Strategy, not clear. In the first class, do you remember we talked about the prelims previous year questions? याद है? I will show you the slide. You will remember it. We will go through it again. Okay? We'll go through everything that is not, you feel that you need to revisit. Strategy. Okay? For example, in the chapters itself, in the sections of the chapters, for example, we had biodiversity. Okay? Biodiversity, maybe we have national parks, species, wildlife sanctuaries. There are so many. So I told you the strategy for it, and how to go about it. Okay. So that kind of strategy in the class itself, jahan pe it is necessary, I tell you. And overall strategy, I have also told you in the first class. So have you watched the videos? The videos are in two sections. First is the NCERT section, and the second is prelims and main section. Hai na? So we started with, because we understood that NCERT chapters are the ones that are there in the PMF only. Okay. So the first few chapters, it would be a repetition if we are going for prelims and mains, right? So this means we started with the first 7 videos that they are in the NCERT. That is the first section itself. And we studied about biotic, abiotic. This was very basic in nature, very easy for you to understand. So we included that section in the NCERT itself. Okay. Rest of the sections is in your prelims and mains. Okay. And then there is one video that is environment introduction. That is syllabus overview. You will find the introductions to various subjects. So in that, I have given you the strategy. First part. Okay. Anyway, we will go through this. Revision. Are you doing revisions? कर रहे हो? Revision. Are you revising? Revising? Not revising. There can be huge number of subjects, I understand. And it can feel overwhelming to, you are coming here for 6 hours of class and it can become overwhelming. Okay, it has been the case with everyone. है ना, हम लोग के साथ भी हुआ, सबके साथ होता है. But the thing is that the sooner you revise, the more you will remember. ठीक है? The memory curve. Do you know about the memory curve? Memory curve is like this. It will say कि पहले ही दिन में revise करो, then revise it after 4 days, revise it after 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, and then 60 days. If you do it like this, it will be there in your long-term memory. Okay? These are the number of days after which you should revise. Okay? And relatively, if you revise in these number of days, it will take you a shorter amount of time to revise it. Slowly, it will get embedded in your long-term memory. If it is in your long-term memory, then it is of no problem. It is not going to pose a problem to you. Okay? Previous year questions. Are you looking at PYQs? Everyone, PYQs are you looking at for all the sections up until now? PYQs also have to be seen. Look, ultimately, we have to prepare to crack this competitive exam. Competitive exam will give us some documents, and previous year questions are one of the most important documents. Okay? It is a direct communication from UPSC that these are the questions or these are the topics that we are much more interested in, and therefore you should prepare for it. Okay? So this is something that was distilled and given in the strategy part itself, first video. Okay? So this this is your domain, your responsibility. This now coming to this conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding. We have 5 sections. Okay? 5 sections are there. First 4 sections almost we have covered. Okay? I want to stop that climate change jahan tak hum log ne padha hai, and let us try to review the first few sections, first 3 sections. Okay? We'll try to review and try to understand which ones are the most difficult for us to understand conceptually. We cannot go for the whole class. Okay? You only tell me which are such kind of subtopics. Let us cover that for the next 2 classes. Okay? So today we will focus on what we will do. We will how are we going to remedy this? Okay, all of these things. How we are going to find a solution to this is, first we are going to strengthen our conceptual understanding. In the next, after we have done with the all 3 sections, climate change is clear. Is climate change clear? Or you have some conceptual understanding is not there? But we will cover it. Okay, एक और बार revise कर लेंगे. But conceptual understanding for the first 3 sections we will cover. ठीक है. Second, what I will do is I will show you the strategy again. ठीक है, the first video, okay, although quickly, so that you are again familiar with it. ठीक है. Once that is done, if there are some concepts that you need the dictation for, I will dictate it. ठीक है. So you can, make A4 sheet paper and you can attach it to the respective section in your notes. Also on the side, do have a look at these notes. ठीक है. ठीक है. So सबसे पहले से शुरू करते हैं. ठीक है. Conceptual understanding, we are trying to build on this. This is our pillar. So we have how many sections? Environment. 5 sections are there. We start with the first section. First section, we will try to gauge which topics are difficult for us to understand. ठीक है. And if it is not difficult for you to understand, then you should answer the question. ठीक है. Revision part. ठीक है. The one is first ecology. Okay. Let us just name it ecology and environment first. ठीक है. We started with what is the definition of environment? What is the definition of ecosystem? Habitat? Ecological niche? Okay. Before that, we also had defined your ecology. Then we had principles of ecology. है ना? Principles, functions. है ना? After that, क्या था? Types of ecosystem. Types of ecosystem was also there. And from that, we understood how do we divide these types of ecosystems. Levels of organization was also there in ecology. है ना? Organization levels. You also had the concept of ecological succession. ठीक है. Just flip through these pages. Just flip through these pages, at least in the first part, and let me know. कौन सा part is not clear conceptually? Like we can try and understand it, we can simplify it. देख लो अच्छे से, because this is, we are trying to cover everything in detail, है ना? अच्छे से देखो, फिर बाद में नहीं बोलना. We had biotic interactions, abiotic limiting factors. We talked about various biomes. है ना? Biomes में we talked about terrestrial ecosystems, talked about forest, types of forest, grassland, deserts. We also had homeostasis, है ना? Have you been referring to the book? Is that one of the reasons of confusion? So, notes are available on the website and that have been made as per in the alignment of the exam itself. Okay. So that big book you can keep away. Because it is very detailed. And that is for me to study. You consider it like that. बताओ इसमें से क्या क्या दिक्कत आ रही है और if there is another any other topic. If not, then we will ask questions and you try to answer. Online students, we are also trying to cover the first section. Whatever doubts you have in the first section, you can tell me.
The thing is like in the notes in bios, like we have like classified different forest types, like boreal forest, rainforest, and everything. But in notes we haven't made like what is the importance of rainforest, for example, like and in the text it is given like carbon sink, precipitation, source of many rivers, biodiversity, all these. So we don't understand if this is so maybe it's not relevant. That's why you have not given at this point. And then later on, when we are not learning about rainforest again. So it's the kind of incomplete.
Okay.
So they're like confused.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
it is
Okay.
not relevant. Maybe it is relevant. But
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. One thing is previous year question देखो है ना उससे समझ में आएगा कि how many questions on rainforest have been asked है ना. That will tell you how relevant it is. ठीक है. I will also mention. The second thing is देखो rainforest is primarily a domain of geography. है ना. When we talk about vegetation, we say tropical rainforest, tropical deciduous forest. Geography will go into deep, like what are the trees there, what is the soil condition there, what is the rainfall or temperature like there. Okay, that is domain of geography. When we talked about climate change, we have said that in carbon cycle itself, I think biogeochemical cycling, we have said that there are two types. One is it will get stored in the biomass, that is in the forest, that is in the trees. So it is a carbon sink.
Yes, sir. Like you have said that
And then,
again after that we were discussing about that. But then, like when we are learning about the different types of like this thing, rainforest and biomes and all, if there was like a separate note of just like importance of rainforest, and then in that from an environment perspective, not from a geographical perspective, from temperature, rainfall, etc. But rather than like carbon sink. Source of like and if that is relevant, but
it is not.
It is not.
It is
maybe.
not.
So
It
that
is
you
not.
don't understand that.
It is not. It is not. Importance of rainforest actually you can only because we are focusing more on the concepts itself. So that will increase the size of class. Like we will have multiple classes for this. So importance of rainforest. Whatever you state, we have understood it conceptually. It is just that you need it in one place. You need it in one place. Importance, है ना? We have seen biomass carbon and how it stores within its. We have seen what is the definition of carbon sink. What is carbon source, right? It is a carbon sink. We have also seen that permafrost. We have related it how it is climatically important in that notes itself, right? So we have correlated that part. And apart from that, I think importance of forest we have covered. Importance of forest and why deforestation is occurring, shifting cultivation, use of raw materials, over exploitation of resources. Importance of forests. We have seen that trees are there. If you remove the trees, what will happen? Something of this kind of a diagram I would have shown to you. Like if I remove this tree, what will happen? For example, the soil soil erosion will be something that will be very rampant. Matlab, I have two agents. One is wind and one is water. If I don't have trees, I won't have these roots that will bind the soil particles.
Land degradation.
Importance of forest may, I think I have done. Is it there? Okay. So mostly we are concerned with the type of forest that are found in India. है ना? मतलब इंडिया में कौन-कौन से टाइप के फॉरेस्ट हैं and that we have to learn about. That is from the perspective of geography. Overall, what are forest useful? How are forests useful from ecological perspective? है ना? So that was an overarching principle of importance of forest and what will deforestation lead to.
terrestrial ecosystem with forest, it feels like confusing.
ठीक है. What is okay? Forest, grasslands, and deserts. Let me explain in very simple terms. I had from ecological perspective, ठीक है, environment के perspective से. So types of ecosystem, यहाँ से ये structure derived है, ठीक है. Types of ecosystem. देखो, basically when we start with environment, whenever we start with this first section, we are saying your thing is resolved.
That becomes a problem, sir, because like the organization is very.
You know, you have to stop referring to the book, and the notes will be sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
In that
Yes.
case,
Yes.
it's okay. But then like you.
Only two things. Only, मतलब बहुत कुछ है पढ़ने को. ठीक है. If you go deep into, I've gone deep into it. ठीक है. So I've understood that what is relevant from our exam. Two things. देखो, if there is very well made notes for you, ठीक है. Only because there was paucity of notes at that point of time, PMF or Shankar IAS can be suggested. Okay. Now that there are notes available, it means we can stick to this. Okay. Notes plus your previous year questions. Your attempt should be whatever have been asked in the previous year question, I should understand the concept behind it. Okay. I should try and find out. It will be easily understandable. If it is not, you can come and ask me. Okay. Even after the class. Okay. Second, after this, third is your current affairs. इतना कर लो, बस. Don't go for books. ठीक है? It is a good book, but it is not arranged. And then there are multiple details. It is like a dumping of information. Okay, that is something that may have been prepared by a student who has been preparing. Okay, so we go for this because these notes are structured now. Previous year questions, current affairs. These three things you do, है ना? इसके अलावा you do your mock test, assessment. ठीक है? If you are scoring good in the assessment test, then your job is done. ठीक है? वेबसाइट पे आई थिंक लर्निंग लाइब्रेरी में है क्या? हाँ, तो आई थिंक दैट इज द वन. कैन पास इट ऑफ. Okay, you have the module, right? I think you were showing me this book only. No, this website, it is present in the website. So if you open the website, there is courses. Courses में जाओगे तो GS3 environment is there. ठीक है? So that are more recent. हाँ. You refer to the notes itself on the website. ठीक है? First refer to that. Then that would be better. है ना? क्योंकि what are good notes? How do you analyze good notes? Like, what do you say when you, for example, I was in Delhi. Okay, we used to have a big market there, and you will see every types of notes there. Okay, you might have happened to see there also. There are yellow books. There are every type of books are there. How do you analyze which one is a good note or which one is bad one for you? How do you think? What is the filter? What is good notes?
Something that can include what is going to be asked as well, and then what has been asked also.
Yes. Okay. Are voluminous notes good notes? Even if you give quantity, there is no quality of it. Okay. Quality is determined in this competitive exam by understanding whether this is aligned to the things that have been asked in the previous year questions or not. Okay. If I'm able to answer this previous year questions and I'm able to answer some of the questions that are related in concepts to these PYQs, then my job is done. If that is performed by the notes, then it is a good note. Okay, that is the filter you should apply. And the second thing,
If I'm being honest with you, like the very first day of class, like it was told to us that like the first reference material should be your class notes, and then it can be supplemented by PMFIS. So this whole confusion started when the class notes were like sort of running note and not like very detailed, and then if you compare it with PMFIS, there's so many details. So you naturally get confused, right? Whether you should also refer to PMFIS also and class notes are like kind of not organized as well. So there starts your confusion. Then the class is going on at such
I
a pace,
understood this. I understood this. I figured this out because I have been thinking about this for 3-4 days now. Okay. I've been thinking what could have been because I have taught these classes only to other batches also. Okay. So even if the content was same, where did the confusion arise from? Okay, from the reference material, है ना? One of the causes is, चलो बाकी तो हम लोग ने देख लिया कि क्या क्या है, but one of the causes is PMF. ठीक है. So PMF अभी PMF is something of a resource for me to use. ठीक है. Okay, I will tell you when I was courses and then GS3. You can ask to Akhilesh. Okay, Akhilesh is sitting just on the reception.
It's like topic
wise. So first topic, it is relating to the second topics all given. Okay, and come there. Okay, this is only on the first section. Okay, you try and open it. Try and open one of the sections. First section only. Last page, 1, 2, 3 pages were there, na?
Bro, where is it?
Mila?
And then like courses. All courses. All courses UPSC Foundation was
ठीक है, मिला? So you will see star marks also, which is based upon what is the priority with respect to this exam. है ना? Refer to this. They will be uploading the rest of the notes in coming days. Okay, refer to these. You can take a printout of it also. Huh? Yes. One by one, the topics will be there. First, refer to this. Yes, this is much more attuned to the previous year questions. है ना? जैसे that will be a more structured kind of a thing, but it will not be as attuned as the previous year question for this part. Okay. So for this, you refer to these notes first, build on it, make it stronger, and then if you want, then you can move to the rest of the portion. But I would suggest these notes, the notes that you are seeing on the website, plus previous year questions, plus current affairs. Itna kar lo, that is more than sufficient. And I'm not saying that you will be able to answer 100% of the question. Nobody will, but you will at least be ahead of your competition. Okay. So let us, start this conceptual understanding part. You will ask the administration, है ना? You can just go and ask the administration. Maybe they will provide you with the printed notes if that is the case. Okay. But at least for now, you can just, if possible, you can copy it in a file and then make a PDF out of it. Okay. The thing is that resource is available to you. Now you can use it. ठीक है. So even online, sir, what is the structure for ecosystem types and biomes? ठीक है. So types of ecosystem, है ना? ठीक है. This is the part. Notes is done. Dictation for the rest of the portions we will do. Dictation for the things that we have not understood. If you want, I will give you the notes. ठीक है. This is how we will try to implement things. Types of ecosystem. इसमें क्या क्या था? First of all, tell me what is the difference between environment and ecosystem? What is included in environment is a superset. When we say environment, is it equal to ecosystem? What is the difference? Or what should I add and where should I add in this equation?
Ecosystem is just a functional unit.
Functional unit of nature, है ना? That we have remembered, plus what?
It can have, environment can have multiple ecosystems.
Plus no life zones, है ना? What are no life zones? Upper atmosphere, है ना? Deep oceans, ठीक है? All of these are, so this will make up environment. Although the components will be similar, है ना? When we define environment, we will say कि environment will have two components. One will be biotic and abiotic, है ना? Two components. And then it will have two functions. What are two functions? Energy flow and biogeochemical cycling or nutrient cycling. है ना? Similarly, we define ecosystem when we say functional unit of nature. Functional unit of nature. What will be the components? Same components, same functions. Okay. From this, we have what are the different types of ecosystem. Okay. What are the different types of ecosystem? How did we define it? Like how did we categorize it? So first distinction was whether we are answering this question whether it is natural or whether it is man-made. That means in the exam, if the question comes that an aquarium is an ecosystem or not, is it an ecosystem? Yes. Okay. That means it is a man-made ecosystem. Basically, we are saying to sustain this ecosystem, to sustain this, is there any kind of intervention, external intervention required? Then it will be man-made. External intervention, matlab human intervention. Right? For the maintenance of aquarium, it is required that we maintain the conditions for survival of fishes. Okay? Natural. So this is not of concern for us. Man-made ho gaya. It is done. Just answering that first question of sustenance. Natural, we went for what is on land, what is in water, and what is in the middle, that is transition. Okay? Any kind of transition zones. Okay? Land may we had terrestrial. We call this terrestrial ecosystems. Okay? Terrestrial ecosystems can be three. What are those three? Forest, grasslands, desert. In water, I will have what kind? I will say aquatic and this will be either fresh water. It is based upon what condition? Salinity condition. Salt concentration kitna hai. If it is too much, then it will be water. If it is moderate, then it will be brackish. Transition zone happens if fresh water meets. For example, wetlands. Okay. So this part, forests and deserts. This is something that is not clear to you.
So, terrestrial ecosystem like forest, grassland, tundra,
Mhm.
everything is confusing.
Confused.
Key points
Okay. I'll do this. Okay, no problem.
like tundra types.
हाँ. ठीक है. Have I shown you a triangle? Slide दिखाया था, याद है? बनाया था वो slide, है ना? तो today one activity, you try to first we will see that slide, not that slide. I will draw that, and then you also draw it, and then you will hide it and then draw it. ठीक है? So when we talk about terrestrial ecosystem, we said, acha, what was yahan? I need one concept, that is your abiotic limiting factor for terrestrial ecosystem. What is it? Two things. कौन सा? Temperature, है ना? Temperature, and दूसरा rainfall. ठीक है? So on these two axes, so when we have this triangle, we say triangle. You only tell me कि this is what? This is warm. This is cold. This is dry. And this is wet. Okay. Now, this is how all the biomes will be there. Okay. All the biomes will be there. So first, is there any doubt that this will be polar? This will be polar itself, right? Because it is the coldest region. Okay. Let us understand the corners first. Okay. Corners. This warm and dry, forest, grassland, or desert? Desert, and that too warm desert, है ना? You have this level. ठीक है. Now, if I move a bit up and say it is still dry and it is cold, then cold desert. ठीक है. Now this side, wet as well as warm. A very good condition for what? Tropical rainforest. This is your tropical rainforest. ठीक है. Now you move to a bit colder region. For example, we move from the tropical zones up to the higher latitudes or middle latitudes. Tropical rainforest is there then. वो तो यहाँ पे होगा, है ना? It will be here. Deciduous. Tropical, है ना? Temperate. So we are saying that we moved up the latitude. This is temperate. Temperate rainforest, na? Temperate rainforest. Deciduous, sorry, it is deciduous. ठीक है? What else? So itna to you are clear with. Tropical rainforest, you move up the latitude. In the middle latitudes, temperate deciduous will be there. Here, warm, dry desert will be there. Cold desert will be there. Okay. Just below polar, what do we have? Just below polar. Tundra. Tundra, you do not understand. Tundra mein difficulty hai. Then, tundra is what? Just understand it is barren land. Okay. There is one important significance, that is permafrost. We will see that. Okay. After this, what is this? This is where the forest will actually begin. Okay. Tundra region does not support forest. Tundra region will only support short vegetation. You will see that permafrost will disable any kind of greater length of root growth. Okay. This is what? Taiga or boreal or coniferous. Coniferous. Okay. Then then this is there, cold desert, temperate deciduous, and here you will have prairies. I should draw it like this.
So what about alpines? Where do they come?
Tundra only. Tundra of two types, alpine tundra and then you have arctic tundra. है ना? Prairies. ठीक है. In this middle part, yeah, here you will have tropical deciduous. And then here, because this is all is latitudinal, we will say this is tropical grasslands. And you will have savanna. ठीक है, यही था. This was the case. ठीक है. Just by remembering these triangle, you will notice, you will be able to gauge what is the relation between temperature and rainfall as it compares with the different types of conditions, whether it is temperature or whether it is rainfall. Now, two things that I want you to note here is first in understanding that this is a representation of altitude, and second, it is also a representation of your latitude. है ना? मतलब, if I see the world map, if I see the world map, then what I'm stating, I'm saying this is the world map, this is the equator, 0 degree, this is your poles, 90 degree north, 90 degree south. So I can stick this triangle, like when I'm talking about the northern hemisphere, like this. I will find that there is some type of correlation. That is, on the top you will have polar, on the tropical zones you will have this kind of thing. Okay? That is going to vary according to your temperature and pressure, temperature and rainfall. The second thing is altitude. We have mountains. This is Himalaya. Okay? This triangle can again be fixed like this. Okay, that means as I move up the altitude, the temperature will drop. And that is why I see a correlation between, as I go up the altitude, I will find the vegetation. It is ultimately climate, that is temperature and rainfall, that is resulting into the outcome of a type of vegetation. Okay? So this is the case. Ab isme batao. Is this something that you feel familiar with? Can you draw it? Try to draw it. है ना?
So when you explained it for the first time, you didn't build it like this. So it wasn't. When you build it like this, it's easy to understand.
Okay. देखो, हर क्लास में we try different things. So we will cover all the topics. Don't worry. ठीक है? Did I, for this part, there was no dictation also, right? No dictation for slides.
Yeah.
The slides had some notes, short notes. ठीक है? Done. सारा correct है. Good. Good. ठीक है. So you are able to place it according to the logic. है ना? If it is wet and warm, I have to place tropical rainforest. If it is warm and dry, I have to place desert. If it is extremely cold, it is polar. Just below polar, I will have tundra. Just below tundra, I will have the beginning of the forest. Forest will begin from taiga, boreal, coniferous. These are the synonyms of same type of forest. Boreal means trees. ठीक है? So trees lines. This would be the trees that would start. Then you will have this portion. So when we are talking about latitude, two things. Latitude इसको यहाँ पे चिपका सकते हैं, and also on the altitude it can be variations for both of these things. ठीक है? Now going forward, trying to understand these things. So polar is supposed to, we are supposed to say that there is no type of vegetation that we can study about. Ecology basically does not exist there because of the colder conditions, extreme conditions. ठीक है? Major abiotic limiting factor, extreme cold temperature, very low, right? So the next thing here is tundra. Let's start from here. Tundra actually means, what is the meaning of it? It is barren land. Okay, barren land. I had shown you a picture like this, that you will see, like there will be vegetation like this. It will have very short roots. Okay, this is vegetation. And then just below this, you had this big structure. Okay, this was your ice wedge. Okay, and this particularly this ice is known as permafrost. This is the most important thing that you will know for this tundra, and we can relate it to climate change also because we are now covering it. I think at that time also I had stated this, that it is climatically important. What is the reason? Carbon cycle. We talk about carbon cycle, two things. One is short-term cycle, one is long-term cycle. This becomes a reservoir for long-term cycle. ठीक है? यहाँ पे you will have soil-bound carbon. This is one thing that I should know. The second thing is, during extreme winter conditions, extreme cold conditions, this layer also gets frozen. Okay, this upper layer. Okay, when there are higher temperatures, when there is summer, okay, then you will find that these get thawed. The ice and the frozen soil gets active. Okay, this becomes the active layer. However, this active layer cannot still support trees. There cannot be forest here. What is the reason? Roots cannot penetrate deeper like this. It is not something that is possible, and this is a requirement for very tall trees to exist. Okay? Only one reason why, because ice wedge is there. Okay? It does not allow the penetration of the roots. Roots perform important functions for trees. What are those functions? Water is there, okay, taking up the nutrients from the soil. Third is support to the plant also. So support to the plant. So this is something that is not being made available. That is why we have very short type of vegetation. Okay? So you will have examples of mosses, right? You will have example of short grasses. Acha, have we met mosses before? Ecological succession, remember? Ecological succession, how does it start? Lichens and then mosses and ferns. So just from that concept, try to correlate. These are also the ones that are unstructured or having no vascular structures. We have seen this in biodiversity also. No vascular structures. One in ecological succession, second here, and third in your biodiversity part. When we try to differentiate between algae, fungi, bacteria, so this is present. Okay? This is the whole mechanism, science part behind tundra. If such kind of temperature as well as rainfall or precipitation exist, then what will be the condition of the vegetation there? ठीक है. Now, understanding what kind of tundra is there. Okay, what kind of tundra is there? We have seen that there are two types if we try to define it. Types we can understand. One is Arctic, then the other is Alpine. These are just different names for the same condition. Same condition exists, but you will have different names. Arctic is only for understanding that in latitude, where does tundra exist? Alpine is for understanding in altitude, where does tundra exist? ठीक है. जैसे if we talk about Himalayas will have Arctic tundra or Alpine tundra? Alpine tundra. ठीक है. Similarly, can Arctic have Alpine tundra? No. Right. So we are saying in the latitude zones, I have it just below the polar zones. Polar region ki just niche I will find tundra. That will not support trees. That is a barren land. That is climatically important because it supports soil-bound carbon, makes the carbon enter into long-term cycle. And then there is presence of this permafrost. Okay. So from this, I had curiosity and I tried to understand why only Arctic, why not Antarctic? Good. So we say that it is not in Antarctica, not Antarctica. The reason is Arctic is somewhat warmer. It is first, this is a land mass surrounded by water, When we talk about Arctic, it is water surrounded by land. है ना? So there is temperature differential that can increase the warmth in the Arctics. Increasing the warmth or the temperature will be conducive for the vegetation to grow. Okay. So first thing is this in Antarctica. The second thing is that it is at a very, very high altitude. You will find that this landmass is about 2 kilometers or 2000 meters or about 2500 meters above the ground. This means that altitudinally also there will be colder conditions existing here. These two things increase, or you could say decrease the temperature conditions, and this decrease in temperature conditions makes it an abiotic limiting factor, and therefore you will have negligible vegetation here, no vegetation. Okay. These were three things that we talked about in tundra. And this is sufficient for us. This is sufficient for our understanding. I think I had on the slides also you had flora and fauna, mosses, lichens, short grasses, willows. This you would have written. Fauna, I tried to relate it with Santa Claus, reindeer. Reindeer will bring your gifts. So reindeer is there, musk ox, and then polar bear. Okay, these three animals. And I told you just the animals, flora and fauna. Only the reason for telling you this is because this is the first type of vegetation that we encounter after the polar region. So usually they can ask you the extremes, and they cannot ask you a lot of trees from the tropical forest because that will be a huge variety to remember. But for the extreme conditions, at least some fauna you should know, at least some flora you should know. ठीक है, क्लियर है ये टुंड्रा? ठीक है. So after this, polar is done. Let us try to tick out things. Polar ho gaya hai. We have an understanding. We can differentiate between polar and tundra. What is the difference between polar and tundra? On the vegetation terms, है ना? We are talking about ecosystem, environment के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं. We want to see how does life exist and how does it interact with the environment. ठीक है? So this is the point at which we can see some type of life existing. although unstructured. है ना? The next, this line becomes the defining line. This line becomes a defining line when we say that there is taiga, there is boreal or coniferous forest. This means when we talk about forest, we talk about presence of trees. Okay, acha. One more thing that can aid your understanding is, dekho, when you move to the lower latitudes, will the soil depth, what is soil depth or soil horizon? Horizon you understand, or soil layers, the depth of soil. जैसे कि let me give you two options. One, this is the soil layer where you have, and this, मतलब soil exists only up till this much. Then you have various layers of soil, and this is the parent rock, that is the bedrock. Now I want you to, out of these two options, this is A and this is B, which one is in tropical zone? Tropical zone matlab lower latitudes. Suppose say India. Why?
Because the permafrost is
Permafrost is there. Okay. One understanding from this that you can derive, not uniformly, but when you move from polar regions to the tropical zones, you will find that the depth of soil will increase. Okay. There will be more minerals. There will be much more amount of crops variety. There will be much more vegetation variety that you can find in the tropical zones. And the reason is that you have deeper layers of soil. One of the reasons. Okay. So we have seen soil as an abiotic component, and how does soil support it? Okay. Here also we have seen that now we try to correlate it with this part, that trees can exist only if there is a certain depth of soil available. Okay. Here also we are trying to move below the latitudes, at the lower latitudes, mid latitudes. Polar was something that was extreme conditions, no amount of soil, only ice. Then this permafrost is there, but there is one active layer, very thin layer of soil. Here there is also thin layer of soil as compared to the rest of the forest. However, this is also having a support system in the layers of the soil that can support a forest. Okay. Forest can be supported here. Okay. So taiga, boreal actually means trees only. Okay. So this is where our discussion of forest starts. है ना? When we divide the ecosystem types, we say forest, grasslands and deserts. This is where it starts. So we have taiga, boreal or coniferous. Okay. What is the condition like? What are the conditions? Cold, extreme cold, right? Do you have wide availability of water? Cold, you could write extreme seasons. However, the soil is thin but can support trees here. So I went and I saw some of the trees. What are some of the trees that are found here? Three examples that we have to remember. Spruce, pine, and fir. These three trees.
So this height of the tree is like related to the depth of its root.
Yes, it can be. It can be.
Over here, like even if it's thin soil, the trees are rough comparatively much greater.
Yes. Greater height, like relatively, the soils can support such kind of plants, such kind of trees. Okay. Nutrients, what are importance? Nutrients are important. For them, support is given by the soil. Water is given by the soil. That is how much water retaining is the soil. Okay. So this is thin soil. When we say thin soil, we are not saying thin as the permafrost one. We are saying thinner than the tropical ones. Okay. But still it can support such trees. Okay. I had shown you the trees also, spruce, pine, fir in the slide. Okay. One thing that I would have made you notice was, what is the leaves like here? leaves. Now understand what is the problem statement for this kind of trees in this kind of cold regions, right? First, they have to stop any kind of water loss, right? Water loss. Therefore, water loss can occur through what process? Transpiration. That means the water gets evaporated from the leaves itself, right? So I have to stop this kind of water loss. So what will the leaves be like? There are two types of leaves that we can see. This is the type of leaves that we see in the tropical zones in India. Okay? This is broadleaf. This is pine. Okay. That means you could say it is thorny in nature. Okay? This is to optimize for the water content within the plant. If there is no water content, there is no transport. Okay? So water loss. So therefore, you will have needle-like leaves. Needle-like leaves. Second, again, for preventing this water loss, what else is there? जैसे deserts में होता है. Deserts में what you have? Thick wax coating. है ना? Thick wax coating. There also I want to prevent any kind of water loss. Thick wax coating. Then do they shed their leaves? Why? Yes. That means if you have to shed your leaves, then it will be very, very energetically expensive. Hai na? Energetically expensive. So they remain evergreen. Something that is counterintuitive, but we have to understand that they will not usually shed their leaves. Okay. Then what is the soil like? Why? These leaves, these needle-like leaves, they will have some type of acidic content within them. And when they fall, okay, when we are saying evergreen, we are not saying they will never shed their leaves. They will shed their leaves, but not as frequently as the deciduous forests, right? Acidic content is something that is derived out of these needle-like leaves. It is because of them, needle-like leaves. Now, इतना तक तो हमें पता होना चाहिए. Can I go a bit further? Needle-like leaves, अगर है, acidic content है, is it conducive for the microorganisms to thrive there? It is colder region. It is acidic in nature, right? We have seen abiotic limiting factors. Temperature was there, sunlight was there, and then we talked about the pH level. So it is not very conducive for the microorganisms to live there, and therefore I may have slow decomposition. Slow decomposition is again a route towards having soil-bound carbon. है ना? मतलब the carbon that was supposed to be decomposed and released back into the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, that is not happening. So this, until this, if you know, good. If you can correlate, even better. ठीक है? Acha, one more thing, that when you observe these trees, when you observe the trees of tropical regions, यहाँ के पेड़ कैसे होते हैं? Like this, right? What is the kind of shape that these trees will have? This is conical shape. The reason? When the snow falls, then they will not accumulate on the branches and cause physical breakage. Okay? So this is also this soil. This is first conical shaped trees, and also you will find that the soil is thinner as compared to the tropical zones. One thing that we should know, that the productivity of these forests. Okay, one concept that you can write down right now itself, there itself. I wanted to discuss this here. This is the concept of productivity. Okay, I will dictate it to you, but just try to understand. We have said in your notes, it would be written that productivity is least for the coniferous forest as compared to other forests. है ना, this would be there, है ना, is it there?
How much amount of energy is converted to biomass?
Yes. So okay. Productivity, you have understood the concept? Does it like feel आ रहा है उसका? नहीं आ रहा है? ठीक है. What it says basically is that ना बहुत मुश्किल से पढ़ना पड़ता है, मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आता है. ठीक है. It is complex. If the sun, ठीक है, if the sun is delivering some amount of solar energy, solar energy आ रहा है. I have terrestrial autotrophs. I have plants that will utilize this solar energy in presence of sunlight, है ना, carbon dioxide, and then convert it into glucose. So I have so many plants. They will utilize the solar energy, and this will become a part of their biomass. ठीक है? This will become a part of their structure. Biomass मतलब, what is biomass? It is a part of their organic matter. So we are just asking, if I gave you this much amount of solar energy, how much of it was converted into biomass? How much of it was converted into organic matter? ठीक है? The units of this, maybe that will also, help you to grasp it, is this. Gram per meter square per year. ठीक है? Gram per meter square per year. So for example, if I'm saying the solar energy intensity of which is calculated as this, watt per meter square, है ना, कि कितना watt पड़ रहा है 1 meter square पे. So I'm saying if I'm delivering this much amount of watt solar energy, then how much grams of biomass am I getting? ठीक है? So if I say, suppose I am delivering, this will be your gross primary productivity. There is this concept that derives from this productivity itself. Gross primary productivity. Simply said, how much of this solar energy gets transformed into biomass? Now let us take one real life example here. है ना? It is basically saying, have you watched Shark Tank? Startups. नहीं देखा. Shark Tank, you have seen. So in that, the investor will say what? If I give you this much money, then what promises can you give to me that this will turn into a viable business? ठीक है? So if I am giving you 1 crore rupees, 1 crore rupees, in how much amount can you convert it so that this becomes a business? Okay, so that it makes the ecosystem function. ठीक है? So it is basically telling you how much amount of money or how much amount of solar energy actually gets converted into a viable business transaction. ठीक है? That is what it is. Solar energy, how much energy did you give? How much of it became a part of your biomass? ठीक है? So gross primary productivity is this. Gross primary, you are familiar with the concepts of gross and net? So if you would have done a job, then you would have seen that there is gross salary, then net salary is there. What is the difference between them? After deductions. After deductions, you will find that net primary productivity will be there. So what will you subtract from gross primary productivity to get net primary productivity? Where are the losses? You will have certain types of losses, and the losses are in the form of respiration. So this becomes net primary productivity. ठीक है? So when we talked about productivity, these two words you can also write. Is it like understandable? Can you visualize this?
Is permafrost present here in this level?
Permafrost is relatively absent. Like absent, yes.
Is that the reason for thin layer? Is that
No.
So why is the soil thin if permafrost is absent?
Soil is thinner because the layers have not developed to that extent. देखो, for the layers to develop, there is a huge amount of humus. Humus, you understand? Humus, that is organic matter that will decompose. है ना? Partially decompose होता है, amorphous होता है, formless होता है, and it is dark matter. ठीक है? and it is very conducive. Now here the decomposition has not taken place to that extent. That means the layers of the soil will be much lower as compared to the tropical regions. So thinner soils is always in comparison with the tropical zones. ठीक है, प्रोडक्टिविटी का फील आया? ठीक है, फील इज इंपॉर्टेंट.
Is that due to lower temperature?
हाँ.
Is that due to lower temperature?
हाँ. Yes. Slow decomposition will take place. Microorganisms will not thrive, and therefore it will not create more layers of soil. In soil chapter, you would be reading about this also. Horizon layers, soil horizons will be there. What are the processes that are involved? For example, there will be alluviation, all of those processes that will go for exchange of the nutrients in the various layers of the soil. ठीक है? Yes. Soil का chapter है in soil, है ना? Soil you will have when firstly they will say कि soil is earlier when medieval times were there, so they used to classify it into fertile and sterile, usra and uvra. ठीक है? Fertile and sterile कि कौन सा is good for crops, कौन सा is not good for crops. ठीक है? Next they started understanding what is the appearance of soil, whether it is red soil, whether it is black soil. They created a classification on it. Then we came to US taxonomy. Okay, all of this is given in your NCERT. Okay, US taxonomy, we try to understand what is the content of the soil, whether it is having more amount of salt concentrations, whether it is having nitrogen, whether it is having phosphorus, whether it is having potassium, and N is to P is to K kitna hai. And then we classified on the basis of Indian soils. We said there is alluvial soil, black soil, laterite soil. Okay, so they will geography will explain to you in great detail about these horizons.
Soil chapter. We didn't learn about like soil horizon. We have completed like different classifications of soil, like all the different types we have in India. But we haven't learned about like this specific soil horizon.
देखो, I have learned, so I am telling you.
Yeah.
ठीक है. So the thing is, no, the thing is, देखो, चलो, layers, just try to understand.
No, sir, I wasn't asking for this. I wasn't asking, but you said you will be learning in geography, but then you just.
हाँ, so for geography, देखो, अब science के सर भी आएंगे. There will be science also. And there will be agriculture. Agriculture is there in your geography. Agriculture is there in your economics. Agriculture is there in environment. Which aspect of agriculture should I study from environment perspective? It is from the level of microorganisms. It is from the level of interaction between the abiotic component soil and the vegetation. है ना? यहाँ पे just try to understand. These are layers. यहाँ पे parent rock तो देखा होगा. Parent rock और bed rock. है ना? This one is the most active layer. It contains nutrients. What else? It contains organic matter. Right? Humus, whatever. Okay. So these are the ones which is the root zone for the crop. Root zone for the crop. This means whatever nutrients can be taken up by the plants. This exists here only. अगर यहाँ पे नहीं होगा, तो how will it take it up? ठीक है. Slowly, parent rock, you will find that these would be a rock solid. ठीक है. As you move up, you will find that these will get comparted into particles. हाँ.
So that A layer, B layer, C layer, R layer.
Yes. Horizon A, B, C, यही तो है.
I think soil horizon, the exact name was not given.
ठीक है. देखो, कोरिलेट करने की कोशिश करो ना चीजों को, तो you will understand things. नहीं, ठीक है. ये NCERTs में है. It is given in the NCERT. They are called horizons, soil horizons. है ना? Soil layers only, horizon or layers. ठीक है. तो we are done with this productivity. So the triangle is this. इन तीनों का फील आ गया. पोलर, टुंड्रा, टैगा का. ठीक है. This we already feel, we understand, we can visualize, है ना? अब we go on to the next part. What was the next part? Temperate forests, है ना. Temperate forest, we are climbing down the latitude. ठीक है, we started with the polar region. It was very easy for us. Polar, no vegetation. Tundra, barren land, has permafrost. Short vegetation is there. The soil layers are not that huge. Then we move on to the forest. First layer of forest will be there in the coniferous forest. Three examples we have: spruce, pine, and fir. And you will find that these forests will be having needle-like leaves. Needle-like leaves that will contribute to the acidic content of the soil. There will be slow decomposition, and that is responsible for your thinner soil layers. Okay. Next, we climb down to the next latitude, and that is your temperate deciduous. Okay. Now just know the meaning of these two words. Temperate. Can I have temperate? What is temperate, tropical, and coniferous? The distinction between these prefix. When we talk about Earth, where is the tropical zone? If we have Earth, this is equator. This is 23.5 degree north. Okay, similarly, you will have Tropic of Capricorn. And then this is the polar zone. This is 90 degree north. Here you can say this is 66.5 degree north. Okay. So tropical, if I have to understand with respect to this, you can say this zone can be tropical. And by tropical, I do not mean that this kind of I just mean that not only present in these latitudes, I also mean that what kind of conditions or what are the characteristics of tropical zone that can be exhibited somewhere else as well. Okay. So I am talking about two things. One, temperature, and then rainfall. As I move upwards, I will find that a small zone just lining this tropical zone would be called subtropical. You would have seen subtropical regions, right? And then moving to the higher latitudes, you can say these are temperate. And here it is polar. Or you could say here you will have your coniferous, taiga, boreal, all of these forests will be there. Okay? So this is your tropical, temperate, polar. So we are talking about the mid latitude type of conditions. We are saying that the regions are relatively colder than the tropical zones, relatively colder. And rainfall is something that is becoming unpredictable. Okay, that means you will have seasons, different types of seasons will be here. Okay. Now, can this be there in India also? Can these temperate forests exist in India? Or is it a nature of only the higher latitudes? Where? In the mountains? In the mountains also, because we talk about the distribution of vegetation based on rainfall and temperature, going from lower latitudes to the higher latitudes, similarly going from the lower altitude to the higher altitude. So therefore, temperate forest can exist in India also because of the highlands. Okay. So temperate is understood. What is deciduous as opposed to evergreen? They shed their leaves. Shed leaves in a particular season. Okay. Temperate deciduous. Then what do you have after this? What kind of characteristics do we have here? One, there is uniform precipitation. Uniform precipitation. I think you have written this part. This was there in the slide. Uniform precipitation. Okay, then you will have seasons. Okay, seasons. I can understand and correlate seasons by understanding that there is a particular season in which they will shed their leaves. Right? You have different types of season: spring, summer, fall, winter. Right? Question: are these type of seasons present in India? No and yes. What is right? When you talk about seasons in India, है ना? Mostly what kind of season do you experience? Summer, winter, monsoon, right? We don't experience such kind of seasonal variations, है ना? Mostly because we are nearer to the tropics. There is some consistency in the seasons that we experience. Okay? But in the mid latitudes, in the temperate zones, you will find that there are various different kinds of seasons that can be classified and distinguished from each other. Okay? And it is in these regions that I will find the deciduous forest that will shed their leaves. So we are talking about two things. One, temperate, that they have a uniform precipitation and they also have divided seasons, and these seasons would be responsible for shedding your leaves. The leaves will be shed in which season? This fall. Okay. So after this we had talked about trees. What are the trees here? You will have bigger trees, है ना? In the last part, like after this part, we will talk about it. एक तो है कि जैसे जैसे just for your correlation, okay, just for your logical correlation, as you move to the lower latitudes, 0 degree या 90 degree north है, तो what will I find? What will be the trees like? If I ask you, what will be the nature of soil like? Soil will be much more thicker. Okay, it will have much more layers. Then trees or vegetation would be much more complex, and there would be much greater structures present as you move towards the latitude. Can you see this logic? From the polar regions in tundra, you had mosses and lichens. Okay, they were unstructured, but as you're moving towards the tropical zones, you will find more complicated, more taller and broader trees. So what are the examples for trees here? Oak, maple, beech. Okay, these are the trees example. These are much more thick. Okay. Now one more thing, right from the name itself, shed leaves. If they shed their leaves, there would be decomposition. Okay, if there is decomposition, there will be increased, again, soil layer will be thicker. Also, you will have greater amount of humus content that will support these type of trees.
The oak is present in oak tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's present in
It can be present. It can be present. It is not exclusive that I will live only here. Okay, they will have certain types of conditions where they can also live. Okay, exclusivity is not there. Wherever it gets such kind of condition, for example, temperate deciduous, make temperate deciduous in India. Which kind of region do you require for making temperate deciduous? One, you require the seasons. Okay, seasons, that means in which season these will shed their leaves. The second is temperate, that means you should have higher altitude. Okay, just on these higher altitudes, I will find temperate deciduous also. Okay. So when we talk about Indian forest, we are saying that there are evergreen forest, semi-evergreen forest. Deciduous can be of two types, moist deciduous and dry deciduous. Okay. In India, I think I had shown you this map, correlation between rainfall and vegetation. Did I show you? Rainfall and this.
Yeah. Different shades.
So I showed you this. So there is correlation between understanding what kind of variety of trees can I have. Okay. Next is temperate evergreen. Okay. By the way, isme it is only this much, like to get the feel of the things, this much is enough, right? Temperate deciduous ho gaya. Tropical rainforest, you already, you would have experienced sometime in your life. Western Ghats, go to Western Ghats, you will find tropical evergreen, right? It is nearby also, will be a good break. Tropical rainforest. So this is what is there, temperate deciduous. Then we covered this range, है ना? ये वाले range को, this range is important for us. Cold desert, we have talked about two regions in India. One is Ladakh and the other that region itself. Okay, that is your cold desert. That means colder conditions exist there. Warmer desert, we have to study only about xerophytic plants. What are xerophytic plants? Less oxygen, less water. है ना? Water is to be optimized. है ना? Every plant has a problem. The problem to optimize it. The only vegetation that is abundant, मतलब भगवान ने बहुत अच्छे से दिया है इसको, रज के दिया है, वो tropical rainforest है ना? Tropical rainforest has everything. And that is also something going to be very problematic because so many varieties, है ना? So specific ecological niche that if you change even a condition, then it is going to hamper the growth of vegetation. When we talk about warm desert, okay, from now in your notes, there would be discussion about temperate evergreen, right? Then you will have tropical forest, right? Then you will have tropical rainforest. Yes. And then we talk about Indian forest. This was the diagram that I showed you on the slide. है ना? ठीक है. So from this triangle only, let us try to define everything now. In tropical rainforest, है ना, we come to the latitude of India. Tropical rainforest. What are the characteristics that we have seen? ये हो गया है ना? Temperate deciduous का you understand, you can visualize, है ना? Deciduous shedding their leaves, temperate in middle latitudes. ठीक है? You will have seasons like spring, fall, winter, summer. ठीक है? Then you move to this tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforest. What do you think are the characteristics? Rainforest, rain should be uniform. Okay. That means there is uniform rain. Also, because of this triangle, I understand it is wet as well as it has conducive amount of temperature. Warm temperature is there. Then, what do you think would the vegetation be like? One concept was that abiotic limiting factors is there. Therefore, the plant has to optimize with respect to its structure. That is water loss as well as nutrients as well as how tall it grows or how thick it grows. Okay? Whether the canopy is thick like tropical zones or whether it is conical shape. है ना? So now when we move to tropical rainforest is something that will have uniform precipitation. Also, it has the conducive temperatures, warmer temperatures. So what kind of vegetation? Dense vegetation will be there. ठीक है?
Uniform precipitation is like is it in the annual rainfall range or like what is it from?
I think I had showed you like forest. When we talk about how much centimeters of forest per year, है ना? मतलब more than 250 centimeter is tropical rainforest or evergreen forest. Okay, as you move.
Both temperate also has uniform rainfall. So I just want to understand the meaning of uniform rainfall.
Uniform rainfall, it means for this it is seasonal. ठीक है? There is no predictability. There is more predictability. ठीक है? In rainfall chapter, you will see that in precipitation rainfall, you will see that predictability of rainfall is also essential for the vegetation to grow. Okay, for example, in deserts, there is no predictability. However, the precipitation overall annually will be there, but there is no predictability when it will rain, when it will not rain. For them, there is uniform precipitation in the seasons. Okay, that means they are receiving it in the seasons. Here, uniform precipitation all the year and predictability is also there. Okay, there is a term called coefficient of variability. Coefficient of variability means that how variable the rainfall is. Okay, whether you can expect it next month or not. If you cannot expect it, then that becomes highly variable. Okay, essential from the point of view of agriculture because we have rain-fed agriculture, right? So tropical rainforest, uniform, or you could say uniform climate also here. Uniform climate. Vegetation is dense, vertically stratified vegetation. What does this mean? Vertically stratified. Yes, that means it is like a floor, है ना? मतलब 3 floors are there. Suppose ठीक है. So we are saying that I will have this kind of a tree also. I will have this kind of trees also. and repeat. है ना, ऐसा टाइप का I would be able to see different levels. They are vertically stratified. Understand this: when there is huge variety of trees, the taller one, every tree will try to compete for the limiting factors. So the taller tree will be the one that will get the huge amount of sunlight. The rest of the trees will get lower amount of sunlight as compared to their with respect to their height. Okay. So this means this itself means that they are vertically means how high they are, and stratified. That is, you can actually see it like a floor. This is floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. Okay. And you will also have these. What are these? Epiphytes. And epiphytes. Epiphytes are the ones that are like a creeper, because they cannot survive because the ground, the floor of the forest is extremely dark. That means sunlight cannot penetrate through it. These canopy, this is called canopy. This is canopy. These canopies are so wide that on the floor there would be no sunlight. Very sparse sunlight will be there. So these creepers cannot survive until they climb up the tall tree and get their share of sunlight. Okay. So for tropical rainforest, this is what we need to understand. One more thing here that we have covered, and that is important, also asked, is this. What is the paradox? Yes. So it means these tropical rainforest will get huge amount of rainfall, huge precipitation is there. Okay. And that is also going to lead to the depletion of nutrients in the top layer. Top layer of what? Top layer of soil. Okay. So this is a paradox that I need to remember. Three things I need to remember. One, it has uniform climate. Okay, consistent. Second, dense vegetation, vertically stratified. Third thing, what is the nature of soil? That it will not have nutrients in the top layer of soil. Okay. Then how does it get nutrients for such kind of tall trees?
Shedding of leaves.
It is evergreen.
Oh,
But still, है ना, evergreen will shed their leaves. Okay, it only means that evergreen, ऐसा नहीं है कि they will never lose their leaves. They will lose their leaves, and this organic matter will form a part of your organic matter, humus content in these soils. Only then can you find the germination of seeds to be possible. ठीक है. ठीक है. So this side is done. Polar, tundra, taiga. ठीक है. Coniferous forest. If you go to coniferous forest, you will find pines. ठीक है. You will not find broad leaves. You will not find broad canopies. Then you will find conical trees. Temperate deciduous, if you go, you will find that they are shedding their leaves. Oak, maple, these kind of examples are there. Tropical rainforest, I will find that vertically stratified. There are tall trees, smaller trees, and then even smaller trees and creepers also. There is a paradox. That means if there is more amount of rainfall, there would be erosion and the top layer will lose its nutrients. Okay, this much is done. And this side. This side. Cold desert. Again, when we talk about deserts, they are going to ask us two things. They are going to ask us only the adaptations and adaptations part of it. After this, I think we had done. After this, we had done our forest parts. देखो ये इतना ही forest है ना? This is all your forest. If I have to label it, which are the forest? Tundra is not a forest. Not a forest. This is a forest. This is a forest. This is a forest, and this is a forest. Tick. All of these are forest. What is a grassland? Which ones? This is a grassland. This is a grassland. यहाँ पे ये दो क्योंकि है. This is a grassland, and this is also a grassland. ठीक है? What is a desert? This is a desert. This is a desert. ठीक है? So when we started studying, we talked about types of ecosystem, and in types of ecosystem we covered these parts, itna hai na? And then we said that there is correlation between rainfall and forest. Okay, more the amount of precipitation, you will find that more is the probability of having evergreen or semi evergreen type of forest. Then I think we moved on to grasslands, hai na? Importance of forest we did, and then deforestation we did. Then we moved on to grassland ecosystems. If we have to find out now, having this kind of understanding of distinction between forest and grassland, simply understand, when you see no trees but huge amount of grass, or you see scattered trees, some trees are there and grasses are there, that is a grassland ecosystem. Okay? So in subject of ecology, you will find that they will say forest, what kind of precipitation is there? You will have greater than 70 centimeters. Greater than 70 centimeters. For grasslands, precipitation is 25 to 75 centimeters. Is this right? Right. So grasslands, I'm just saying, see, if you locate this, yahan pe bhi dekh lo, it is moderate. Up until here, I had these, especially these will have more than 70 centimeter. These in the middle will have moderate wet conditions, moderate rainfall, 25 centimeters, and desert less than this 20 centimeters, right? So deserts will be extremely dry. Okay, now the temperature can also vary, but it is based upon, mostly, if I have to corner it, then it is also based upon the rainfall. Okay. So I think with respect to grassland ecosystems, what are the things that we covered in grasslands? Steppies and savannas. Okay. So one thing in grassland was, when we try to understand grasslands, we understood it as a administrative problem also, grasslands, right? What was the understanding that we had for grasslands? They are classified in your land records as wasteland, and that is why there is no conservation policy for grasslands. We said there is huge amount of livestock in India, agrarian community is huge, and they rely on their cattles. We have 536 million. Okay, only 13 hectares of 13 million hectares of land is available as grasslands. So this means grasslands need to be conserved. Grasslands are also, we can visualize this part between deserts and forest. Grassland is a kind of a ecotone, hai na? So here I have greater than 70 centimeter, here I have less than 25 centimeter, and therefore iske beech mein I have grasslands. This is your grassland, hai na? So as I move from forest to deserts, I have trees. From here, I may have shorter trees and grasses. Mostly it will be grasses. And when I move towards deserts, I will find that there are, cactus or xerophytic plants. Xerophytic matlab? That means they will have to thrive in less amount of water. Okay, that means conservation of water is. What is the problem? What is the challenge for them? Forest. For example, tropical rainforest. What was the challenge? That means huge amount of rainfall is there, so soil erosion can take place. Here, what is the challenge? Grazing. Overgrazing. And this problem is water, precipitation. Grassland needs to protect itself, from converting into a forest or from converting into desert. It is a zone of tension. Okay? Grasslands, how does it, from if I try to understand it, okay, we are trying to understand it from a different route. Grassland to forest, how does it convert? There will be more number of trees. Okay. What prevents this process? इसको होने से रोकता क्या है? This is fire. है ना? If there is fire, the grasslands will survive, but the trees will be eliminated. Did you get this concept? है ना? हाँ, good. Growth points. Where are the growth points for grasslands? Beneath the soil. So they remain protected even after fire. But for forest, the growth point of the trees is on the stems, leaves, and so on. Okay? So this makes fire an important distinction. It is important for the grasslands to exist and not convert into forest. Okay? So conservation of grassland बोलेंगे तो we will say grassland cannot convert into forest, and this is derivable from your ecological succession also. है ना? Your hydrart succession, xerat succession, remember? How does it proceed in the land? How does it proceed in water? Grassland can also proceed to form desert. What is the process? नहीं, पहले invasive alien species नहीं होंगे. It will be, for example, the present day example, current affairs example is Aravalli Hills, right? If you remove Aravalli Hills, what will happen? Extension of deserts. That means there will be sand particles that will be transported by wind, and they will be covering these grasslands. Okay, in effect, you will find that these plants will get submerged in that amount of sand particles. Okay. Slowly, you will find that there will be invasion by the xerophytic plants, the plants that can survive in these kind of sand particles. Okay. And when they outcompete these grasses, you will find that the desertification has occurred. Okay. So desertification. Desertification can lead to the grasslands converting into deserts. First step, sand particles fly using the wind as a vehicle and get deposited into grassland zones. Second, there is invasion by the xerophytic plants that are much more conducive in the desert areas. They outcompete the grasses here. So grassland, forest में कैसे, how do we prevent it? Fire. How do we prevent this? Aravalli Hills, scientific definition of how high an Aravalli Hill should be. Okay, not removing the Aravalli Hill for various kinds of developmental activities, mining operations. है ना? So this is about grasslands. Fire, we had seen, it is an important component. You have already mentioned growth point. है ना? Growth point. ठीक है, what else in this grassland was there? इतना ही था. Grassland, then we classified two things, steppes and savanna. Steppes and savanna, only thing you have to understand that one will have some number of trees, okay, along with the grasses. The other one will not have trees. Okay, which one will have trees? Savanna. Why? Because it has greater amount of rainfall. What is it given? 500 millimeter per year. Hai na? And for steppes, you will have how much rainfall annually? 200 millimeters. Okay. So this means it completes the grasslands part, 25 to 75 centimeter. Savanna, the one with trees. And when you decrease the amount of rainfall, you will arrive at steppes. Okay. And then if you further decrease it, it will become desert. Okay. So desert, what kind of plants will you observe? Xerophytic. What are the characteristics of xerophytic plants? What are the characteristics? They have to optimize for the water content. Water has to be there in the system. The temperature is very, very high, and therefore there is a chance of transpiration loss through the leaves. So they will not have broad leaves. Why they will not have broad leaves? Because broad leaves are the ones that increase the surface area. Surface area is increased, more amount of water can be absorbed. So they will try to conserve it by converting them itself into thorns. And they will also cover these thorns with thick wax. Just like your coniferous. coniferous one. They also had the similar problem. है ना? Now here, photosynthesis will be performed by stems. Okay, stems will be succulent and they will be very fleshy, succulent. They will also be a form of water storage. Okay, water storage for the plants. Now again, roots. Okay, whenever you try to, so leaves hai, stems hai, and roots. In these three, you try to observe what are the adaptations. Roots. Will it be deeper roots or shallow roots? Deeper. What is the reason? They will try to go in search of water. Yes. Whatever the functions of roots are, they will try to perform it and optimize on any kind of water content present. Okay. Okay. So this was all. Is it clear now? आया समझ? What's your name? For Savannah? हाँ. Many questions. Which year? Savannas, I have made notes also. We have distinguished between savannas and steppes. So we have given the characteristics. I think it was dictated also. This thing Yes. You will also learn about climatic zones in geography, na? So that place also you will learn about some of the important characteristics. But this is important. This is sufficient from environmental point of view. In fact, even if I don't go deeper into savanna, steppes, then also you can answer most of the questions. Okay. The most important distinction from ecological perspective is that forest, grasslands, and deserts. What is the distinction between them, and how do they maintain each other? ठीक है. तो अब wherever you have drawn this, try to write the characteristics, है ना? 1 or 2 characteristics you try to write, because that will help you to visualize. ठीक है. Do it for मतलब 3-4 minutes, take 3 to 4 minutes and write this. Try to summarize on this triangle itself. By making arrows, you can start. Then just be back. We're not throwing. Just write the characteristics, 1 or 2 characteristics about each. You will be able to visualize.
Like geography, feeling the ability to go outside. You say, so I think he's asking you, do you think this was we can see the environment.
That's what you want.
Let's see for the benefits. But still now we have to get so much. If you pass our left. This knowledge is self-passing condition solid. You didn't come with so did you do this? Then this one, the I think this is redirection. Redirection. I think this
Done. You also done? Very fast. Good. Okay, so now you are able to visualize things. It is, much more familiar to you. So, do you need dictation for this? Short notes were there, है ना? So you already have developed greater understanding now. So, tell me from these topics or from your notes itself. Now search. This one we have done, biomes now. This one done. Next. Which topic? Even if you understand it partially, and we can cover it. Okay, even if you feel that you just know it partially, you do not have complete familiarity with the topic, then also we can cover it.
I feel like there's no problem. Like, in understanding. The issue is mostly related to
Notes.
And then, like, if you just go to PMFIs, there's a lot. If the notes are not very like,
structured and aligned to the previous year questions, I understand. I understand this.
What to study, what not to study. Are we even studying in the right path? All that
Yes. See, I will never teach you anything that is outside the syllabus. Okay. है ना? So that you have to first keep in mind that is the center. है ना? If I am not doing the notes, then probably I am missing out on something that is important from the previous year question point of view, right? Second, I'm telling you the legacy notes. Okay, that is present on the legacy website itself. So if you can prepare these two things plus previous year questions, this is the most authentic thing. Okay. I have given you the notes that are relevant from exam point of view. You have tried to understand it. Then you also have the notes. Wherever the definitions are not clear, you can note on from that notes. And then from the previous year questions, whether we might have left out something. Okay, might one or two statements might be there. So that kind of a plugging of gaps should also be done. Beyond this, iske alawa, if you try to cover everything, that is not going to be fruitful for us. That is not going to be optimizing your time with respect to other subjects also. And PMF or Shankar was suggested. The only reason is because they were the only books that are there in the market for environment. Okay. We now have our own notes that are present with us. है ना? So you can refer that only. Build up on that notes, है ना? Whatever research that you do, whatever things that you try to learn in depth in the previous year questions attempting also, you try to write it there in the notes itself. Okay, these three things. So probably the problem was in understanding. One was, okay, conceptual understanding is there. We will try to cover that. The other was that the source, you referred to the source and you found so many things. And when you came to the class, you found that, okay, यहाँ पे कम topics हो रहे हैं, है ना? That is the reason. Then you thought कि academic book might be the structure of the things that you need to cover. It is much more comprehensive.
So the thing is, like, even in the academic book, like, it's not like very organized. Like, if you're learning about water ecosystem, so first you learn, if you know about what are the organisms like phytoplanktons, like, or like what are the, like, from the primary levels. If you understand all that, and then you learn, then it's okay. But then even in the book, it's like water ecosystem, phytoplanktons, everything is given all at once.
Yes.
So that basic understanding, then a little more intermediate understanding, then okay. Advanced overview. That is not happening. It's all happening from.
Everything is happening at once. At all the stages, you are being exposed at once itself.
And then you feel like you just have to learn the name itself, like phytoplankton. Like, you don't understand what are the organisms, what are the.
Even that used to happen with me also. When I started with this, I did not understand what is phytoplankton. Just on breaking the word, first I understand that plankton means drifting. Phyto is always for plants. So I think in the notes, I have gone in a structured manner, like we have discussed about aquatic ecosystem. Then we talked about the food chain within aquatic ecosystem. How does it begin? Phytoplanktons are there.
Yeah, like we have tried to, sir, but like that is the conceptual understanding that was actually lacking. Like, that interlink the step by step.
Yes. देखो, यहाँ पे तो we already know it is easy for us to understand from terrestrial perspective, land perspective, because we live in the surroundings itself and we can observe this, है ना, right in front of our eyes. But for aquatic ecosystem, it becomes difficult for us to understand. Okay. So if you feel that aquatic ecosystem, it is basically water. We are starting with phytoplanktons. We say that food chains. Who are the producers? We do not see trees on in the water. We see such kind of phytoplanktons, which are what kind of organisms they are? No, algae, bacteria, fungi, what? Algae, है ना? And we have one bacteria also, cyanobacteria, है ना? So you know already. Algae, what are the names of certain types of phytoplanktons that we have? They have asked only the names. Okay, if you look at the PYQs, they have just asked diatoms. Okay. So I told you the distinction between those types of phytoplanktons. What are diatoms? What are dinoflagellates? What are coccolithophores? These are the names of. Should they ask you, what they did was they will ask you what is the food chain in aquatic ecosystem? Diatoms, crustaceans, fishes, ऐसे करके, है ना? The only thing that you needed to know was who starts this food chain. So they told you about diatoms. They repeated this question also. Okay. So I told you more names of phytoplanktons. Should they change this first position, then also you can answer that question. Okay. They are not going to write phytoplanktons here. They're going to write diatoms. They're going to write dinoflagellates. They might write coccolithophores. They might also write cyanobacteria. In all these cases, you know who is the starter of this ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. Okay. And this is just for in last 10-15 years, 1 or 2 questions. All for that. We had to study this. Okay. Next, we don't know when UPSC will come in the mood of, asking these questions. But still, because it is in the PYQ, we have. And our effort is to, align our concepts so that we can answer the previous year question. Our first motive is that itself. So don't, for now, I would suggest, abhi to book ko aap don't refer. Okay? Don't refer to the book. If it is creating such a huge amount of confusion, there is no, why should you refer the book? Don't refer to the book. refer to your notes, your this notes also that has been created, available on the website. You use that notes, use the previous year questions, and use your current affairs. इतना ही करो बस, and your environment is done. ठीक है. Now coming back to this topic, कौन सा, which one should we discuss? In understanding, everything is clear, but the structure, then if understanding is okay. Okay, in this section, is the structure clear? Like we moved on from one topic to the other topic in a structured manner itself. I did not give you the structure in the beginning, but it was moving in a structured manner itself. Principles of ecology is clear. What are principles of ecology? Hmm?
No, that's not the first one.
What is it?
That is the formation.
What is variation?
Variation space.
Variation, adaptation. What is variation? Genetic traits that are existing in the total subspace. Then we talk about adaptation. What is adaptation? Yes. Example? Huh? Yes. है ना? Desert areas, we have seen xerophytic plants. These are adaptations itself. Similarly, in coniferous forests, these are adaptations itself. So adaptations can happen at 3 different levels. One is very good. Morphological means what kind of adaptation? Appearance, outward appearance changes. Okay. Physiological means internal function. For example, blood. Okay. Then you have behavioral. What is that? Migration. है ना? Acha. Now, can you correlate from the biodiversity chapter migratory behavior? We learnt about one of such kind of species. The term was natal homing. That will travel from its place of residence. Olive ridley sea turtle. Migratory pattern is observed. Okay. So that is the adaptation that it has gone for. Okay. Next was speciation. What is speciation? Formation of new species. Formation of new species. है ना? What is the different types of speciation that we will have? Basically, parapatric, allopatric, sympatric. है ना? We wrote the distinction between them. Speciation, to get the understanding, speciation simply means it started from, suppose say, a common ancestor. Suppose say it started from fish. Okay. Some of the fish, because of certain types of barriers, they got transformed into 2 different types of population. Okay. Similarly, because of certain more environmental changes, another type of population was observed. Now, question to you. How do you distinguish, or what is the characteristic that is going to be different in these species? That is, they are not going to interbreed. They cannot interbreed. That means earlier they were able to interbreed, but because of such kind of speciation, formation of new species, you will find that they are not able to interbreed, right? Or even if they breed, then it is not going to produce a fertile offspring. So this is a process like fission, goes on happening. That means these all are species that are different. This is your speciation. Okay. Then you had natural selection. What is natural selection?
The force that selects what type of adaptation.
Which ones are favorable to the nature and that are favorable for the survival. ठीक है? Then extinction. The genetic information is itself lost. ठीक है? Genetic information is lost. ठीक है? So there was variation, adaptation, and then you had natural selection, speciation of 3 different types based upon whether it is a geographical barrier, if there was a river, if there was a mountain, then what kind of speciation will be there. So there are different types. ठीक है? And then we had natural selection and last extinction. ठीक है? Then homeostasis was there. What is homeostasis? Homeo means homeopathy wala homeo. Equilibrium is correct answer. But what is homeo? Homeopathy, you have heard? Same. है ना? That is you treat by the same organism that acts as a pathogen. That is homeopathy. है ना? Similarly, homeo, the word homeo means same. Stasis means state. That means how do you maintain the same state? If I deliver an external shock to the system, whether it is an ecosystem, if I deliver external shock, whether ecosystem is able to sustain itself, or if I deliver external shock to the body of the organism where it is able to sustain itself. Okay? So homeostasis. So at the level of ecosystem, what have we seen? At the level of ecosystem. Succession तो आगे linear होता है. But after the climax community, it will show homeostasis. So for example, there was one example that I would have given at that point, would be tiger, yes, tiger, deer and grass. Okay? Tiger, deer and grass is there. If I say it is an equilibrium. Okay? Equilibrium के लिए equal, that means they have set number of population of tigers that can be sustained by set number of population of deers that can be sustained by set number of grasses. Okay? Now I said, let me move some tigers from Pench Tiger Reserve into this zone. I go and introduce 50 tigers introduced. 50 tigers introduced. What will happen? The population of tiger has gone up. What will happen to the population of deers? It will grow. It will go down. It goes down. What is the population of grasslands? Up. Goes up. Now the system has been moved from its original position into disturbance. Okay? How will it come back to its original position, or how will it again attain the stable equilibrium? Now, because this deer population goes down, it will lead to decrease in population of tigers because of unavailability of prey. Okay? Because it goes down, you will find that the population of deer might go up. And similarly, when it goes up, this will again become balanced. Okay? That means it will decrease. It will decrease. And slowly. Okay? Now this is about 50 tigers, homeostasis in the ecosystem. What about I introduce 2000 tigers? This is the external shock. I have delivered this 50 tigers, homeostasis was observable. But if I observe that I give external shock to this tune, then this cycle will be broken. This means that homeostasis is not something that is indefinite. Okay, this means homeostasis is not infinite. That means no matter how much external shock you give to the system, it will still have the capability to come back to its original position. No. Okay. This homeostasis, this is at the ecosystem level. Okay. At the organism level, what we have seen? Mechanisms are there. What kind of mechanisms? One was homeostasis, when we talk about homeostasis in animals. Okay. One was regulate, other was conform, third was suspend, and fourth was migrate. Okay, just to have an understanding, clear-cut understanding of it, just understand the meaning of these words. Dekho, whenever, just like us, whenever we are faced with problems, what will happen? There would be a fight response. Either we will fight it or flight, भाग जाएंगे. ठीक है, इसको कहते हैं हिंदी में भाग लेंगे, मतलब पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे, या तो भाग लेंगे मतलब रन अवे. ठीक है, भागना या भागना, क्या करोगे आप. ठीक है, तो फाइट और फ्लाइट रिस्पॉन्स, दिस इज समथिंग दैट इज देयर इन होम्योस्टैसिस एंड स्पीशीज आल्सो. Which one do you think out of these plain English words that we can see, which one do you think is a fight response? Regulate. Regulate इसका मतलब है there is an external shock. External shock given. For example, temperature increases. What do? We sweat. Okay, that brings our body temperature down. That is called thermoregulation. That means our blood is capable of performing that function. Okay, so regulate. One example was thermoregulate. Another example that we had given was osmoregulate. That means we are saying that there might be salinity differences and whether the organisms are able to regulate their internal functions so that they can establish an equilibrium with the external shock. मतलब ये बोल रहा है internal system and external shock. How do you maintain the physiological functions when you are delivered external shocks? ठीक है. Conform. Conformers. Have you heard this word? Conformer. Is it fight? These two are not fight. They accept. है ना? Accept. Conformers means they will accept the situation. Okay, they will say that, okay, whatever God gives to us, it is fine. We will be happy in that. Okay, conformers. What about suspend? If suspend is there, it means that they will say that what I had been operating as, whatever external things I had, that were luxury to me. Now let me just remain with the necessary conditions, and therefore they will drop their luxury activities or drop their other metabolic activities. For example, one of the very famous example is that of a polar bear. Polar bear, what it will do? It will go to sleep. Right? So that is in hibernation, right? Hibernation. You will have hibernation. What else was there? This is going to sleep in the extreme winter conditions. That is, you are conserving heat in your body so that you do not have to expend that much amount of energy. Okay? Hibernation. What else was there? Estivation. Estivation is for what? Fish, snails. Okay. Diapause. Diapause was also there. So these are just different names of the same activity that is being done. Different names for same activity being done. Suspend. Maintaining equilibrium with the external shock delivered to the body of the organism. How does its internal functions operate? Hibernation, estivation happens in summer. Diapause for the aquatic ecosystem. है ना? You had examples of zooplankton here. We wrote the example of zooplankton. ठीक है? Now, अब यही देख लो कि if the internal functions are not able to perform up to the mark, then what is the next course of action? Migrate. है ना? Migrate. That means we have example of ORT and especially VUORT. ठीक है? Vulnerable olive Ridley turtle. Winter. Yes. ठीक है? Suspension of metabolic activities. ठीक है? Can the plants migrate? Can the plants migrate? Plants are stuck to the ground. So what is the strategies for plants?
Confirm.
They can either conform. Okay, they can either regulate a bit. Okay, a bit can be regulated, but not that much. Regulate, we see in the form of leaves. Why? Adaptations. So that is either you go for adaptation. After adaptation, even then, if your problem is not getting solved, then you go for this homeostasis. ठीक है?
So this conforming method is an example.
Conformers, fish again has an example. I think I had given you the example of fish itself, right? Which example I have given you? Aquatic animals, है ना? We are saying that the temperature, for example, the water body has increased temperature, है ना? So conformers will say that even if you are increasing the temperature, we will try to tolerate it. Okay, these are aquatic species itself. We can say an example of fish. So if I increase the temperature, delivering external shock, it will say, okay, I will remain within the water itself. I cannot shift to another pond. Okay. But if you go on increasing the temperature, it will stop conforming and die. Okay. So conformer only up until the point that is viable for its life within the range. They are conforming. That means जो भी external shock था, that shows its reflection in the internal functions also. Matlab, if your temperature increases, then the internal functions will also behave accordingly, proportionately. There is no barrier. There is no change in the external versus internal functions. Internal function will behave as per the external functions only, external shocks only. ठीक है? Example would be fish. Example would be aquatic species that are living. ठीक है? Similarly, one more example can be there. Conformer में, we can say if the dissolved oxygen go down. Okay, water pollution में we have seen biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, dissolved oxygen. If I increase the temperature, what will be the effect on dissolved oxygen? Dissolved oxygen goes down. है ना? So if I say, if I am delivering less amount of oxygen, supplying less amount of oxygen to this water body, it will be harmful for the aquatic species. Okay, they will stop conforming after some point of time once their life range has been exceeded. Okay, so that is the reason we talk about temperature, sunlight, photic zone, aphotic zone, and dissolved oxygen in the aquatic ecosystems. Major abiotic limiting factors. ठीक है? What else in this section? Okay, एक एक करके देख लेते हैं. Environment का definition is clear, है ना? We have seen how what is added, what is subtracted. Ecosystem का definition, functional unit of nature. How did we arrive at it being functional? How did we arrive at it being a unit? This is clear. What is the definition of ecology? Made out of two words, oikos and logos. Oikos means home. Okay. Logy means study. है ना? Home study. Ecology. ठीक है. What is habitat? Yes, physical address. When we talk about ecological niche, what is the difference then? Preference, है ना? If I have 5 2 BHKs in Jayanagar to live, which one I will live in? That is the niche, है ना? But habitat will be all 5 of them because it contains the necessary surviving conditions. It has 24/7 electricity, it has 24/7 water supply. ठीक है? Then ecological succession. What is ecological succession? Let us start with understanding first. What is the final goal? What is the climax community?
Stable.
Characteristics of stable community or climax community. Stable is one of them. Then mature. What is the vegetation like? Is it complex or is it unstructured? Complex, है ना? So when we talk about ecological succession, we can proceed in two manner. One, we can say primary succession, other can be secondary succession. Primary succession means
There's no life.
no life, but what was present? Bare rock was present. Bare rock matlab the nutrients were logged. Okay, it has to be now exposed. The nutrients have to be exposed. Who is the one that does that? Lichens, but they are called pioneer species. Pioneer species. So the process of ecological succession starts up to the, and in both cases, when we talk about land as well as water, both of them end up to forest community itself. They have the climax community as forest. Okay, one is called hydrart succession, the other is called xerat succession. Xerats matlab no water, just like xerophyte, xerats. Okay, hydrats means water. Okay, both of them will end in climax community of forest. Now, secondary succession, how does it start with? If there is some kind of destruction, if there is damage to the ecosystem. So which one is going to be much more quicker, secondary or primary? Secondary succession. Okay. Do I have pioneer species? No. There would be initial species that would be lichens. They are not lichens. Lichens are the ones that are extreme. And do the pioneer species remain there after the primary succession has occurred? No, they will leave the place. Ecological succession. Then within this, we had one more classification: autogenic and allogenic succession. What is autogenic? Within, auto matlab within, allo means outside, and an outside agent will drive the succession force. And then we had this heterotrophic and autotrophic succession. Which one is more dominant? है ना ये वाला autotrophic and heterotrophic succession. ठीक है, autotrophic मतलब that is plants are driving this form of succession. Heterotrophic means consumers are driving this succession. ठीक है, ecological succession is done. Principles of ecology, mostly things we are done. Functions of ecology, biogeochemical cycling, should we discuss? Carbon cycle, two types of cycle. Short-term cycle and carbon long-term cycle. Long-term cycle means where are you locking carbon for long-term? What is the reservoir for that? Permafrost or soil-bound carbon. है ना? In short-term cycle, you will have biomass-bound carbon. है ना? मतलब it is found in the vegetation itself. In the biomolecules itself, you will have element of carbon in compound form. ठीक है? Trophic level, what is the interactions or biotic interactions? Remember words like amensalism, commensalism, predator, है ना? Parasitism, mutualism, symbiotic, है ना? Give me two examples of symbiotic. Lichens, good. Lichens is equal to algae plus fungi. Another example. Coral reefs, okay, coral polyps and zooxanthellae. ठीक है, what else? Commensalism, amensalism, right? Mostly you will only. You will find that symbiotic associations are the ones that are mostly asked. The ones that are easily recognizable are predator. Okay, that is how one organism eats the other. How it is there in the food chain. ठीक है? Functions of ecology. Was there anything else in this functions of ecology? Homeostasis was there. I think we ecological pyramids. Pyramid of numbers. First of all, what tells you about the capacity of ecosystem to sustain itself? Every layer. So when we have studied ecological pyramid, this is the 2D representation of a pyramid, a triangle kind of a structure. If I move 3 layers, I represent. No, that is the width. That is the width. I'm talking about the vertical part. That means grass, grasshopper, frogs. ऐसा हो सकता है, ठीक है? And then the width represent the quantity that we are measuring. The more the quantity, the more broader the base would be. The more broader the bar would be. ठीक है? So when we talk about pyramid of numbers for terrestrial ecosystem, Or for grass ecosystem, if we say, is it upright or inverted? Upright. More number of grasses and less. About also upright. Then when we talk about tree ecosystem, inverted, because there is only one tree, but it is supporting a huge number of species. Okay. Then we move to pyramid of biomass. What is biomass? Like what is being measured? What is the quantity that we are measuring? Standing crop. Standing crop, that means dry weight of the organism. That means I exclude the water content from its weight and multiply that with the number of individuals. Okay. So this is going to be influenced by the pyramid of numbers also, right? Because number already we are multiplying with the dry weight. Okay. So for pond ecosystem, in pyramid of numbers, we had seen that it is upright, but here it becomes inverted. What was the reason? This was the main, star of the show. Why? What is the reason? Yes.
Reproduce.
Yes. Second.
But they are found equal.
Standing crop is less. That is there. What is the reason? One is the dry weight is also less, and the number of individuals at that point of time is also less because of their rapid reproduction. Two reasons because of which it becomes inverted in nature. Okay. Then we saw upright, inverted. These things are there, but one kind of pyramid is always upright. Energy, right? Pyramid of energy, and from that we can also derive. Have you heard of 10% law? Lindman's rule, right? So what does it say? Yes, as you move up the trophic chain, you will have reduction in the amount of energy that is being transferred because there are losses in heat energy, losses in respiration, and because of that, less amount of energy will travel up the food chain. So it will always be upright. That is the most consistent pyramid. Okay. ठीक है. Functions of ecology is done. Biotic interactions of all. This is benefit, this is harm, this is neutral effect. So I say biotic B2 mechanisms, or whether it is plus plus, whether it is 0 0, whether it is minus minus. Based on that, you will have different terms. Ecosystem types, so we have done this part, right? Natural ecosystem, just this part, man-made ecosystem. Limiting factors. Any doubt in limiting factors? Just go through that once. ठीक है. Fine. Hibiotic limiting factors is also fine. Any other topic? Any other topic? If I think I have written most of them, if I've missed out anything.
I haven't taken this plastic pollution, solid waste from. Is that not?
It is important. The reason is that I would approach it from scientific perspective, right? And I was getting some reviews that science is something that you all want to avoid a bit. Is that so? Is it too much of depth? So I approach it from the scientific perspective. I say that what is polythene? Poly is what? Okay, aromatic is what? Okay, from hydrocarbons it is derived. Whether it is thermosetting, whether it is thermoplastic. Okay, so that is based on scientific depth explanation. So if you want to approach like that, I will cover it. I had planned to cover it after the this part, climate change itself. So we can cover that one. And one more thing, I think I had told you to, I will show you the photos. That is present in my slides itself. I will show you that. Okay, that was of coral reefs and mangroves. Yes. Okay, these two things are remaining. We will do it. We'll do it, in fact, after this wrap up of our revision cycle only. Okay. Anything apart from this? Bio? Bio concentration, where is this word? Bioaccumulation. No, you only have to pay attention to bioaccumulation and magnification. That is all that is required from our exam. What is the difference? Magnification and accumulation? Only within one organism, then what is it? Accumulation or magnification? Accumulation. Magnification means? Why, if it is water soluble, if the pollutant is water soluble, then what will happen? If it is water soluble, it will get excreted out. Okay? If it is fat soluble, it will remain within the organism, and we will see that the top predator will be the most poisoned ones. Okay? Should we wrap up this section? Or you have any more topics we can discuss? Should we wrap this section? Everything is understood within this conceptual understanding, structure. ठीक है. Online students don't have a doubt. Online students, if you have any doubt in this section, then you can let me know. Okay. In the next class, what we will try to do is we will try to cover the next two sections. Okay. Biodiversity and environmental pollution and degradation. Okay. For again, just remembering these pillars, you try to do this much work. Okay. Only this much work. Revision and previous year questions. Okay. Mostly revision of your notes itself, and from your notes, if you do not find any conceptual clarity or the understanding is not clear, or even if you are not able to derive things logically, then also we can discuss. Okay, treat it like a revision class itself. From things you know, I will ask you questions. From things you don't know, I will explain. Okay, let us do this and let us try. I think it can be completed in 1 or 2 classes or 1.5 classes. You also try to revise so that we can have that fluency. Okay. Okay, thank you. Akhilesh will be sitting here in the reception itself. You can ask him where the notes are located on the website, and then ask them also if they will give you the printed format or not. If not, then you can just download it, like copying it. Copy it in Word file, then make a PDF out of it. Then you can take a printout.
Environment textbook, this is being provided from your.
First, go through the notes itself. Take it. Because that will also contain some of the current affairs जो कि पीछे के आ रखे है ना. Right now you do not need that much amount of information that will overwhelm you.